Hi, I'm Flavio from readandcode.com, and I've done some pair programming recently, and I'd like to share some of the things that I've learned with you. Let's assume you have a friend and you both have access to the same server via SSH. I'm using Linode, but you could use EC2, Slice Host, Webfaction, whatever. Right here I have one window SSH into that machine and another SSH into the same machine. So if I type one command in the other, you don't see it show up on the one on the right. So we're going to use tmux to do so. Right now tmux may or may not be installed on this machine. To check, I'm going to do a tmux-uppercase v, and as you see, tmux is installed, but the -v option is not available. Now it should be, because in the latest version that should show me the version. So we know it's not the latest version, so we're going to go get the latest version from the tmux SourceForge website. We could use apt to get it on the machine that's Ubuntu, or if you're working on a Mac, you could use Homebrew. However, they often have older versions as well. So let's just use the link we have here and then go and copy it on our server. Let's unarchive it now. And then cd into the directory and configure it. Sudo make it and sudo make install. Now when we type tmux-uppercase v, we get the same thing because we have to have a new session. Now when we type tmux-v, it'll find tmux 1.6. Let's clear the screen and start a tmux session by just typing in tmux. You can see the bar at the bottom of the screen that indicates which folder we're in, and the windows, we'll go into that in a little bit. But our friend on the right here can now simply type tmux attach, and they will be on the same exact tmux session. So if they type anything, we see it, and by the same token, if we type anything, they'll see it. So we're done. We can now pair program, and you probably have a connection on Skype or something talking to the person, and there you go, you're pair programming. tmux is a very powerful tool, and so let's go over some of those features. For the remainder of the screencast, I'm just going to use one of the pairs so that it doesn't get confusing. Let's say I'm pairing with somebody and I'd like to have a split like I do in Vim or other editors. In tmux, the binding command is Control B. So if you type Control B and then %, it opens up a split. That's called a pane. The terminology is important because in tmux there's sessions, windows, and panes. We are in a session as soon as we type tmux from the terminal, and then we are in the window, which at the bottom you can see with the word bash, and then panes are these splits that you actually see in those windows. So we created a pane split horizontally, and now I'd like a vertical split, which we would do Control B quotes. And we could create multiple of these. So another Control B quotation mark would have another one. We can move in between them with Control B and then arrows. So Control B arrow down, Control B arrow up, Control B arrow left. And we can actually go multiple panes at a time. So Control B right, down, down, left. It'll actually, as soon as you do it in 1 second or under, it'll actually continue to the next pane. You can see all these shortcuts tmux has with Control B question mark, and that'll actually show us what we can do, how we switch windows, how to create a window, but I hardly ever use this. Instead, I actually use the man page on OpenBSD that has great information on every option and command tmux has. I'll copy a link in the post below. There are a few default settings tmux has that bug me, so next thing we're going to do is change those by creating the file on our root home directory called tmux.conf, and in there I'm going to paste the configurations I use currently. So first, you can choose between VI and Emacs mode. I prefer VI mode, and I'm going to unbind Control B as our binding key and set Control A in its place because I prefer Control A, and Screen used to use that before. I just find it easier to type. Now, the way to source the tmux.conf file is using this source file command. So I'm going to bind that to R, and this R basically means after the binding command. So I would type Control A R. After I save this document, you'll see the settings would actually take. To cycle panes quickly with Control A, nothing special there. And these bindings I find useful to be able to do Control A, J, K, L, and H for default Vim bindings for left, right, up, and down in tmux. And scrolling is something that we currently cannot use. If I try scrolling with my mouse, it scrolls basically the entire iTerm2 window that I'm in. So we'd like to be able to scroll within a pane. Right now, in order to do that, we have to use a keyboard shortcut and use our keyboard. We might want to use the mouse. And so I'm going to save the file, and then to source it, I can press Control V colon, and then just type source file and then the path. Now if we type Control A L, that'll move us to the left pane and to the right pane, and then Control A J downward, and Control A R will refresh the configuration, and all of our commands actually work, including scrolling. So if I go into the Vim pane and then use my mouse to scroll, it'll put me into the copy mode where I can actually scroll. To leave it, I can either scroll the way to the bottom or press Q. To get in it without a mouse, you can type Control A open bracket, and again use your mouse keys to do so, and you can bind some you can use some of the Vim keys to select the text, like this space and then selection. Enter actually copies it, and then when you need to, say, paste it later into a different pane, you can do Control A close bracket, and it will actually paste the copied text. You can also easily resize these panes with Control A and then Alt and then arrow keys left or right or up or down. To create a new window, which again is more like tabs, you can do a Control A C, and you see at the bottom we now have two of those bash windows, zeros and ones, and to rename them, because that name bash is so general, we can do Control A comma, and then you can actually rename it to something interesting. And now you see at the bottom you'll have a different name, and you can switch between them. Control A N for next, Control A P for previous, or actually Control A straight to the index. Control A 0 takes the first one, Control A 1 to the next one. The tmux session we're in will continue for as long as the server is up, and so many people use it to have a perpetual IRC bot or just keep things running forever. So we can detach from it rather than close it with, say, Control D's. We can just Control A detach with D, and that puts us out of tmux. To see what tmux sessions you have on a server, you can just do tmux ls, and I'll show you all the sessions. Instead of doing just tmux attach like we did before, to attach to this session, we can do a tmux attach -t and then give it the target name if we had multiple. To create a new one, we can do tmux new and then give it a session name, new session, let's say. That puts us in a new session. We can easily switch between these sessions with Control A S, and now we can visually choose between the first one we created and the new session and very quickly alternate between them. If you want to change the name of the session later, you can do so with Control A $, and then rename, say, the first session, which by default became 0. We can name it hacking. So that way when you do a Control A S, we can more easily identify which session we actually want. tmux has many other features, both interesting and uninteresting, such as Control A T showing you the current time. I recommend that for more resources you look at some other screencasts, such as Peter Cooper's here, as well as Brian Lyle's screencast on this page. That's it for me. I hope you found this useful, and see you next time.